These interview questions are related to your experiences dealing with incarceration. Whether you've dealt with doing time or know someone in jail, please share a video telling your story with Care Pictures Love in order to inform others on how to deal with similar situations and prevent the next generation from making the same mistakes in life. What is your name?
Louis Harold Rose.
And where are you from?
I'm from Fresno, California.
And what do you or did you do for a living?
I was an electrician before I got arrested.
Now that we have a little background, let's get into how incarceration affected your life. At what age were you first impacted by incarceration?
11 years old.
And what happened in that situation?
I was caught trespassing onto some property. I was placed in juvenile hall.
And how did that change your life?
It scared me because I was taken away from society. I didn't know where I was going to be. And to be vulnerable like that scared me. But I wasn't, I was picked up the same day with my parents.
And can you tell me about some other times you were incarcerated
As an adult,
throughout your life?
uh, at an early age, at 18, I was arrested for a property offense and placed in fire camp.
Excuse me, what is fire camp?
It's a place where you fight fires. Low security, low level security. As a low level inmate, I was placed up there to fight fires for California Department of Corrections.
And you were allowed to do that because you said property offense was a
I was
non-violent?
Non-violent property offender, and I was low security, not involved in any gangs, didn't commit any violence. So I was put in a low-level camp.
And was it scary?
No, it was hard work, and that still didn't break me because I was missing something in my life. I was missing skills. I was missing at that time, 18. I had no skills, no direction. I was just a helpless soul. I was roaming aimless. I was roaming around aimlessly. Didn't have any real direction. To me, at that early age, rules didn't apply to me. I just did what I want, how I wanted. And that way of thinking was very immature.
So tell me what other things did that way of thinking lead to in life?
It led to a lot of different incarceration situations. Same thing, property offenses. I've always been a low-level offender, petty offender, throughout my whole life. I never really learned. I just kept doing it. It's like all I knew until somebody took the time to really, really invest in me, so to speak, and had patience with me. This was a Christian man, and he taught me some things. He helped me find my family. His name was Travis, and because of him, I got a good job. I started changing my life. I was getting interested in things, something to do, something to learn, and I really liked doing it. And it detoured. It helped me mentally survive what I was doing out there, and it geared me mentally into wanting to learn more about this trade. And it took my mind off doing illegal activities, property offenses.
And how did illegal activities come to bite you in the rear end again?
I got in an argument with my brother for spanking his daughter too much, and I threatened to beat his ass.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, the courts felt my record and that I shouldn't even be arguing or threatening anybody, and that's against the law. The reason why I ended up back in prison is because when you oppose a direct threat to somebody in an argument, you have means to carry it out, that's a felony according to the law books. Had I did it on the phone, or had I did it, uh, you know, text message or on a computer, probably just been a misdemeanor. But because I did it in person, I posed a direct threat to that person, and that caused fear. So the law was written that that type of threat is on a felony level, and that's what got me back in incarceration for 36 months.
And so can you tell me about why you received a life sentence?
In 1995, end of 95, beginning 96, California, uh, I was given a sentence of 25 life. I was arrested for credit card possession, and at the time, the possession of the credit card was a misdemeanor. It was a 484 EC of the Penal Code, and that's a misdemeanor. But because I had a theft offense in the 80s, they went back and them theft offense rose that misdemeanor up to a felony, and that's what triggered 3 strikes. And I was sentenced to 25 to life in Santa Clara County, San Jose. And they gave me a life sentence, and I stood in prison for 18 and a half years until Proposition 36 came out and changed the law. And it said if you're currently in California prison and you're current third strike, and you're currently a third striker, and your third strike is non-violent, you can gain relief. And I filed a petition back to court through the help of a law firm, and I was granted my release because I met all 3 criteria. And at the time when it passed, you couldn't have had no sex or violence in the past in your past convictions, and I had none. I was clear, so I met that first requirement. Second requirement is, while incarcerated from the county jail until now, when you go in front of the judge, you couldn't have picked up no violence in the jail or in prison. And then the third criteria is, from the whole time you're incarcerated until you're coming out in front of a judge to determine if you're going to be given relief off that life sentence, they want to see if you elevated, if you matured. What did you do to keep yourself busy and show that you really do want to change? I met all our criteria because I accumulated a lot of chronos. I took a lot of classes, and at the time there was no milestones. There was no RAC credits, rehabilitative achievement credits. There was none of that. It was just a man trying to make a change in his life and do good and stay busy, because I wasn't involved in politics and I wasn't involved in gangs, and I didn't involve myself into doing illegal activities in prison or drugs. I never liked any of that. All I did was just, I was a low-level offender, a petty offender that got caught up in a web of politics and stuff, and the 3-strike law scooped me up in a big net, and I was just a little fish. And it's like them going fishing, and they should have just threw the little fish back. Instead, they kept us all in. It took them 18 and a half years to modify that law to apply only to violence. So I was released, and I was discharged. I wasn't sent on parole or probation. They just straight let me out. No pre-release class, no transitions, no none of that. And that was just, I was just kicked out to the streets. And technology changed. Internet, cell phones, flat screen TVs, things that I didn't even know how to use and I never seen, because I was incarcerated on level 4 in a cell for years. So that was a shock. It caused some anxiety. I may have suffered from some post-traumatic stress disorder, because being in prison is a society within itself. There's a lot of different things in here that can stress you out. So it's like a war zone. You don't know if you're going to be stabbed.